Hello Tubesters, it's Gav. Welcome to another one of my videos. I see the light bouncing off me readers here, so let's put them down. Right. Lost my train of thought already. Oh, that was it. We are having a look at the Badger today. Yes, I've actually done some work, not a great deal. And to be fair, there's need a great deal of work left doing to it. And without watching my last video on the subject, I actually can't remember how far I'd actually got. But what I did, or I've been doing the last, I don't know, over the last week or so anyway, I think I'd already textured it a while ago, because I've hardly done any modelling whatsoever, because I've obviously been wrapped up in the Indian Mutiny project, the Star Wars stuff that I was doing, so my scale modelling's taken a back seat while I've been doing that, but I fancied getting this Badger at least to a stage where we can get some proper paint on it. And saying we've actually got a built kit, as I am itching to get back to over there under a cover, HMS Kent as well. Remember the frigate project, the modern British frigate? It's still there under wraps, but wouldn't mind getting a bit more done on her as well. And the motorbike, and I've still got the 172 Hurricane, which I just decided to have a go at, and then that's parked as well. And that only really needs a last going over with a sander and a paint, and then it's ready for paint itself. But anyway, we're not talking about any of those subjects. We're talking about the Badger. Yeah, so I've put some texture on it. I followed Steve Jones' his way of doing weld beads. Only I believe the lead wire I used was maybe a tad too big. It's so big that probably the crew, if they were coming under fire and they were outside the tank, could actually lie down behind the weld beads and fire back with their small arms. But it's on now. There's nothing I can do about it. Well, there is. I could rip it all off. Well, we're not going down that road. So it is a paper tank. Maybe it was a Friday afternoon job and they just wanted to get it done and get down the pub. So it's the gun is just put on. It's not even been particularly primed particularly well, but I'm not that fussed on that, because it's all going to be blacked out and highs and low lights put on with the black and the white. So I'm not overly fussed on that. Let's just crack on with the other painting, Gav, because otherwise this is going to go on forever. But yeah, I've also put some dings in with the router in the Dremel. So I decided not to take any of the mud guards at the front of the tank off, because they're quite well done, and I'm always doing that when I do a tank build. It's often like, especially a modernish tank. Well, this is post-war, but modernish tank, I tend to we'll take a mud guard, because a lot of them are, they're the mud guards off at the front and that, where they get smacked up. But what I did do is take a few chips and dings out of them with a Dremel just to beat them up a bit. Haven't done that to the side because I'd literally stuck all the little handles on, grab handles on, and prime that. But I might go back to that and just put a few dings in, because if I've got them at the front, I can see the sides getting dinged a bit as well. But we'll have a look at that in a second. So I've actually got a run of tracks together as well. The tracks are really simple, and I'll show you that in a minute. I'm so chuffed. Whether they actually fit and go round is another matter, but at least Gav put a run of tracks together. I don't actually believe I've got the number correct yet. I think I need to do about 92 or 96. I can't remember, and I'm probably in the 80s or something. But I'm going to do the second run, get it to that point, and then we'll count, because I'm notoriously bad at counting in general, but getting either too much or too less. So I just wanted to show you the tracks, because we all know Gav can't build them, so I'm dead chuffed to actually have a row of tracks that move and everything. So yeah, let's get down to the bench. Right guys, I didn't think this one through particularly well. I'm just snatching there's a quiet time in the house, so I wanted to get this done before it gets noisy again. I didn't really think of this. I should have put the overhead camera on, because and I should have actually turned the sound off the computer, and we wouldn't have people crashing the video. Right, as we can see, this tank destroyer's got an extremely large gun. There we go. It's a plastic one. It was a one piece that you only had to try and smooth off the spread of sprues holding it on. I would imagine if you did that as a metal piece, even in aluminium, I mean, I bet that's going to weigh a ton. The only bit I had trouble with was actually getting the, as you see, that's just loose at the moment. Inside, obviously, you have the peg here, as you can see. There you go. There's a peg. Trying to get that flexing so I could move it up and down to a position I wanted to. It just wasn't having any of it, and I had to just, in the end, stick it in place. So the barrel's at the inclination it is. So let's get a bit closer. Isn't it great whenever you start these and you realise that your battery's on no charge? You can't really see particularly well while it's in grey primer, but you can see I've done some small dings on the front of the mantlet there, just where it's flicked off maybe some of the armoured metal's actually just been bussed off, but not actually. There's not the nice neat round little mark. Oh, this wasn't right. Let me just take the barrel off. I can at least move the tank around a bit. You can see all our weld beads that we're putting on there. Again, that's just on loose. They are quite wall-like, but as I say, we're in there now. So I think I actually prefer the method over the previous ones of using that I followed on night shifts, where he puts the putty down. I was using a cheaper super glue, and in places I had to do it 3 or 4 times. That was a bit of a pain, but that's only because I was using some cheaper glue that didn't really want to stick. But I'm hoping once I get some green paint on, I'm clutching at straws really, but I am hoping that it'll look slightly better. And if I don't, it's a lesson learnt. We can see some better where I've put a router in and then put a small drill bit in just to actually, can we get that a bit closer, Gav? So I'm trying not to knock anything off. There we go. So I've pop marked the front in places without going too much. Now I use the night shift thing of putting the putty in, and I don't think that's really sharp enough really around the edges, but I drilled the hole, put the putty, a round ball of putty in, put whatever I used to make the hole, to make the indentation. I'm deciding whether I put both lights actually completely glazed, or maybe one fully glazed and one bust up or not. I'm not sure yet. I tried using, so I just used black paint rather than my grey primer. I tried the one shot again, and I know so many of you get on with it, but my life, I couldn't do it. That's the acrylic primer. It was spluttering over. That was through a 0.5 brush that I use just for priming for figures and stuff like this, and it wasn't having any of it. It was flicking paint everywhere, and it's happened about 3 or 4 times. This is about the 5th time I've tried it, and I said, Gav, just stick to. So I just ended up, because it was done at the bottom, which is slightly darker underneath, I tried it under there. In fact, you can see some of the sputter marks underneath there. I'm not doing anything with them now. But yeah, so I'm trying to, I didn't realise how big this was. All these yellow areas, yes, I know isn't greatly primed, but I'm going to be putting paint into those, into the dark recesses. You can see some of that is my own homemade texture. That one had been knocked off. I've done again with the putty there. I didn't want to go over the top. I've just done a few. That was supposed to be like a few machine gun rounds, or I think it's a bit uniformed, but again, it's there now, so we'll go with what we've got. All this will be exhausts on here, by the way, with some shrouds covers over it and stuff. So, but I need to black all the areas before I stick them down. I've only gone so far with the texture up the hole because all this is covered with shields, so it's not needed. We've got another one there, and I've tried to do it so that I tried to score it with the Dremel so that it would look as if bits of armour have been chucked up, you know, bust off as the rounds hit. And that's about it for the actual, you know, for the actual battle damage. I didn't want to go too heavy with it. As I say, I've gone with a Dremel. Not particularly great. I've done, you know, a little impact there. Again, it looks a bit messy, but I'm hoping it might look okay. Dremeled it round there. Oh, there goes our screen. Chunks on this one, I decided to take some chunks out. Again, it's not brilliant, but I'm hoping when we get our paint on, and this will be green and black, like classic British Army, green and black. That's about it. Oh, I wanted to show you let me get this screen back up, and I'll show you the tracks, or the one length of tracks I've done. I'll say the barrel, you know, I don't think it's too bad for what it is. You know, for a plastic barrel, as I say, there's no halves in there. The only thing I'd say against this, well, not against the kit, I think it's a cracking kit. You know, Amusing Hobbies have done a great job, I believe. The only thing is, I'd say the sprue gates are the attachment points are just a bit too thick. So if they could have just maybe had them smaller, I know we all want something else. You probably wouldn't get a couple of the dings on here, but they are quite large that hold things up onto the sprues themselves. But that's just me, you know what I'm like. I'm not exactly the world's greatest builder. So anyway, I'll turn this off and I'll get the tracks ready to show you. Right guys, these are the tracks. I'd advise, as I did, I gave them as best of it. I've still got some maybe mould release agent, I'm hoping not, but I did give them a wash through in some sudsy water. They're still a bit shiny in places. I couldn't see anything particularly wrong at all with them. I don't mean in what the real tracks look like, I'm no expert, but you got some injector pins right in the bottom there, but by the time you've muddied them up, most of this is under the armoured screen. The only bit you're going to see is around the front and back of the tank, and they're going to be having some type of mud or dirt shoved in them anyway, so you're not going to see right in there. I mean, you have a right job trying to get those out. But all they do is literally clip into these little holes. So you've got see the little attachment point there where my grotty nail is. So once these are clipped off, they literally press in. I've had two, I believe, where the little pin points, you know, bust off in the pressing in, and they've become loose, and I've had to remove them. But I mean, you could get away with it if you had to. It's, you know. But I would suggest, rather than just push them flat straight in, I put them flat on the desk and put the one in and then manipulate it round and then push it in, so you're not relying on the plastic to continuously hold. I mean, I don't know how many spares are in there. You can say it's 92 or 96 for each run, but they couldn't have been easier. You know, I mean, for someone like me, it was thank you at last. You know, it was brilliant. It's been quite therapeutic doing, you know, apart from doing all the painting at some ridiculous hour in the early hours, I'm pressing bits of track together. But let's see if we can go back. So obviously it's going, there's no point showing you the whole track, but this is where Gav thinks it's all going to fall apart. But see, we got flex there. I mean, you still probably be a bit careful with them. You don't want to be throwing them around, but I think that's brilliant. And that's all from just clipping into place. As I say, I've had two where just one bit of plastic's bust off, but I'm just trying to find. Let's use this. So once again, it's just a little attachment point there. Either side, and you clip them in how you want, but they will literally just press fit in. I just find it's easier to locate it into the one hole, then put them on the ground, then press it in, because you've got a bit of play then in that side, rather than you're pushing it in at ultra tight. But I mean, I don't know their other kits, but if you're track challenged like myself, you know, I think that's great. You know, you don't need 3D printed tracks or anything like that. You don't need metal. Well, I know people have metal tracks a lot of the time because they just think that, you know, the weight or whatever, they prefer it that way. But yeah, I think that's great. As I say, I'm being a bit gingery because you just know that it's going to all go apart. But yeah, I think that's great. I say how they fit round, I don't know yet, because although I've got the wheels, everything all done, I've taken they're all apart, the springs are off them and everything, where I put you know, where I paint them up and then I'm going to glue them back on, because there's a lot of areas behind that will show raw paint, raw plastic, if you're not careful. That's the only bind on this particular tank. It's got that many road wheels. It's not funny. Right, thank you very much, guys. As I say, it's again more waffle than anything. How it's going to turn out in the long term, I don't know. But as I say, I'm going to go for a green and black version. I wasn't going to do any battle damage on, and now I have. There's going to be no base to this. I'm just going to have it as it is. But even that can change, you know what I'm like. But I doubt it. I'll probably I just want to get it done, and that isn't because I've not enjoyed it or I'm not enjoying it. It's just that I've got so much stuff on. You know, you want to do other things like I want to get the car done for Tom. I want to get as a tribute to old Tom, I want to get onto the BMP, the Ukrainian BMP. So, you know, there's lots of stuff that I want to get doing. So this one and the bike need to move forward, so I can. And I also want to have a go on HMS Kent as well. So that's a very long-term project, but I would like to. I haven't touched that in months, so it'd be nice to get some more work done on her. Even if I stop then for another couple of months, at least I'm further forward than I was. So guys, look after yourselves. Thanks for stopping by and taking a look. We've still got the Star Wars little baby walker, which I can never remember the actual terminology for, but that's coming up. You'll be thankful, as I say, you haven't got a Mutiny project update for probably until the end of the week, of next week. I'm waiting on the Wolverine 3D printed figure to have a look at. That's probably just been delayed. They said anywhere from Saturday till Tuesday, and we've got the Queen's Jubilee bank holidays at the moment on, so that might even be a bit later if it's all caught up in the post. So yeah, we've got a few things on the go. Hopefully we'll have the 2 Napoleonic regiments based by the end of next week, and we'll have a look at those as based units. And then the only thing I've got left to do on that commission is a cavalry regiment, which all the rest I'd already done half a regiment for the client, and this is the next half for this year. So yeah, there's a fair bit coming up. I've primed the Badger. I also primed those Foundry United States cavalry, and we've finally got to have the reveal of the United States Marine Corps bust as well. So a fair bit going on. Just got to find time and a quiet house to make the videos. So thanks for your support. Thanks for stopping by and taking a look. I don't think Victor's going to see this because I should have said this at the beginning, and now it's at the end of the video. But Victor's been pretty poorly. That's Victor Cena over at Vic's Miniatures. Victor, look after yourselves. We all understand you're not putting videos up when you're like you are. We're all thinking about you. If you haven't popped over, go and check out Victor's. I'll put a link in the description. Go and check out Victor's last video. He's not very well, and we just want to see him fit and back to doing the things that he loves doing. So I will, although I've done this a bit about face, I'll put it in the description, a link to Victor's channel, and show him some love if you can, because he's obviously going through a worrying time. So yeah, look after yourself, Victor. All you guys look after yourselves, and we'll catch each other very soon on another video.